So the insanely stacked winter season of anime is finally over, and spring season is looking to have an even more insane lineup. But before we fully dive into spring, I wanna take some time to rank every single winter anime I finished, such as Frieren, Solo Leveling, Classroom of the Elite, and a lot more. Basically, I'm gonna go over all the anime I completed watching during winter 2024 and rank them on a tier list of S, A, B, C, and F. S being a must watch, A being a solid watch, B as worth watching, C as probably not worth watching, and finally F being garbage. Also, even though Frieren and the Apothecary Diaries are technically fall anime, I'm also gonna include them because they did finish airing in winter, and partly because I really wanna talk about them. And now, without wasting any more time, let's get started with Frieren. I'll go right ahead and say it. Frieren is, in my opinion, one of the best anime we've seen in recent years. It's a beautiful character-driven journey about the value of time and companionship. Frieren is a slow-paced story that focuses on its characters, but it can also deliver some absolutely insanely hyped fight scenes that will blow your socks off, thanks to the incredible team working on it over at Studio Madhouse. But as much as I love action, my favorite part about Frieren were the characters. Some of my favorite episodes were ones where the characters are just hanging out or traveling, even though they had little to no action. So I personally found the action-heavy second half to be weaker than the character-driven first half, but still, Frieren is very easily an S-tier must-watch. It's by far the best fantasy anime I've seen, and honestly one of the best anime in recent years. Next up on the list we have none other than Solo Leveling. Probably the most famous webtoon of all time, and honestly, I was decently surprised by the anime. I went in fully expecting to hate it because of the things I'd heard about the webtoon, but I actually enjoyed myself almost every single week. Surprisingly enough, I really appreciated the slow burn start, even though I saw a lot of people not being a fan of that. The animation during the fight-focused episodes were great, thanks to Studio A1, but there's one thing that I really did not like about it, and that is the constant cutaways to random characters that I really don't give a shit about. I remember episode 11 having like 6+ random cutaways that absolutely ruined the flow and pacing of the otherwise incredible fight. B tier. Next up on the list we have The Foolish Angel Dances with the Devil. This is probably going to be the least popular anime in this entire video. The anime follows our protagonist Akutsu, who is actually a devil that has been sent to Earth for a secret mission. But sadly for our boy, he ends up getting enslaved by an angel who happens to go to the same school as him. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention that they both slowly start to fall in love with each other. This is an anime that genuinely feels like a fever dream because of how insane it is. I wasn't a huge fan of the first 2 episodes, but after that, the anime starts feeling like a professional shitpost that actually managed to make me laugh out loud multiple times, which is something extremely rare for me. But even though I loved all the parts that felt like a shitpost, I honestly wasn't the biggest fan of whenever the show tried to get serious. It's not horrible per se, but I definitely would have liked it more if the show didn't get all serious during its second half. Though I definitely have to praise the surprisingly decent animation during its fight scenes and some really nice music that took me by surprise. I'm gonna have to give this one a B tier as well. And next up on the list we have another heavy hitter that aired alongside Frieren and also took the anime community by storm. The Apothecary Diaries. The anime starts with our protagonist, Mao Mao, straight up getting kidnapped and sold off to the royal palace, and we follow her journey helping people and solving mysteries at the royal palace. This is very much a slow burn mystery with bits and pieces of the puzzle revealed slowly. The small mysteries may feel episodic at first, but over the course of this first season, they all build up to a really intriguing storyline that's executed masterfully. And even though the mysteries and palace politics are the main draw for most people, the protagonist Mao Mao ties the whole anime together with her amazing personality and intriguing origin. Mao Mao is easily one of my favorite female anime protagonists. But as much as I would love to give the series an S tier, I found quite a few episodes in the first core to be a bit too slow for my liking. Even though the incredible second core more than makes up for those few slow episodes. And that's why I'm gonna have to give the Apothecary Diaries a very solid A tier. Next up on the list we have Chained Soldier, bringing in the degeneracy this season. But hey, I watched it all, so I'm not one to judge. Chained Soldier is basically about a guy who's being enslaved by a bunch of hot women for plot reasons. And if you guys don't know, the Japanese name of this manga is Mato Seihei no Slave, which roughly translates to something like Slave of Mato Soldiers, and the localized English title basically censored it to Chained Soldier. And that's basically my main issue with the anime. I am actually a manga reader for this series, and this anime adaptation honestly sucks. The best things about the manga are the surprisingly good art, the plot, and some actually good fight scenes. And all three of these things in the anime are vastly inferior to the manga. The anime really tones down the fan service when it's basically the main draw of the manga, and the animation quality does not even make up for the lack of plot. And the CGI fight scenes do not help it at all. And that's why I'm gonna have to give the anime a C tier. And I would suggest to read the manga instead if you're interested in it. Next up we have another absolutely garbage anime adaptation, and that is Classroom of the Elite Season 3. This is one of the worst anime adaptations of all time. Absolutely insane amounts of skipped content and stuff that gets completely changed. The main victim of this adaptation is making Ayano Koji lose all of his depth and making him edgier. This season was supposed to adapt some of my favorite volumes in the entire series, and all of the moments I was really looking forward to got absolutely ruined. If I try to rate it from an anime-only perspective, I'd honestly give this a D or C tier. And since there isn't a D tier in this list, I'm sadly gonna have to give this one a C tier as an anime only, and a very solid F tier as a light novel reader. And now we have an actually good and honestly phenomenal anime adaptation, that is A Sign of Affection. I only checked out a few chapters of the manga to compare, but this was an insanely beautiful anime adaptation. First of all, the art direction is absolutely stunning in every single episode, and the animation is great for a romance anime. But the thing I love the most is the direction. The anime went above and beyond with accurate sign language as far as I'm aware, and how they managed to properly portray Yuki's condition as a deaf person. This was one of the most wholesome and soothing anime I've seen in a long time. It doesn't feel as traumatic as a lot of other shoujo anime, and almost every single character is really likable. But I do have some issues with the anime. First is the detailed lips on the male characters. I know this is just a personal preference, but they really should have toned down the lips. And my other problem with the anime is not really being a fan of Itsuomi, who is the male lead. He was by far the least interesting character in the entire series, and it was honestly hard for me to be completely invested in his romance with Yuki as well. But the anime more than makes up for it with all the other characters and incredibly wholesome moments. Solid A tier. But there is a romance anime where I was incredibly invested in the romance, along with having a phenomenal adaptation, and that is The Dangers in My Heart Season 2. Season 2 has solidified this anime as one of my favorite romance anime of all time, and Ichikawa is my favorite romance anime protagonist. His development throughout these two seasons have been absolutely incredible, and his relationship with Yamada provided me with an insulin spike every single week. This season was incredible. The direction was as great if not better than the already great Season 1, and the music by Kensuke Yoshio is just heavenly. I have nothing but good things to say about this season, especially after that incredible final episode. Peak fiction, 10 out of 10 perfection. This is very easily an S tier for me. And last but not least we have none other than Gushing over Magical